Hey everybody, I got a request to talk more about how to do polynomial long division. And so I'm going to give you a short video to get you started on it. And if there are more questions, feel free to ask me and then we can go deeper into this topic. So I'm going to give you a short overview. But before I do that, I want to talk about how we do long division with numbers because the process is very, very similar. So here I've got an example. I've got 628 divided by 34. And if I were going to do long division by hand with this, I would want to see how many times 34 goes into 628. I can't tell. So I start with the 6, and I see that 34 doesn't go into 6. But then I go a little bit farther, and I see that 34 goes into 62. And a good estimate for how many times that goes in is to look at the 34, look at the 3, and see that 3 goes into the 6 twice. So I'm going to guess 2 times for 34. And if I multiply my 34 times the 2, and that's going to give me 68, which is too big. Okay, so I'm making an estimate based on these first digits. So 2 is a little bit too big, so I'm going to take 1, and then I multiply. 1 times 34 is 34, and then I subtract. So you know you have to carry one of the 1s, that makes that a 5. 12 minus 4 is 8, and 5 minus 3 is 2. And to double check, 34 doesn't go into 28, so I know I have the right number up on top. Then what do? You carry down this, and you repeat. You try the same thing again. So I'm going to try to estimate how many times does 34 go into 288, and I do that by thinking about the 3 and the 2, and it doesn't go, so I think about the 3 and the 28. And 3 goes into 28 9 times, so I put a 9 there and I try this out. 9 times 4 is 36, and I'm going to carry the 3. 9 times 3 is 27, plus the 3. It's 306. It's too big again. So I'll erase it, and I'll try an 8. 8 times 4 is 32. I carry the 3. 8 times 3 is 24, plus the 3 that I carry is 27. And then I subtract. 8 minus 2 is a 6. 8 minus 7 is a 1. And then nothing comes down from the 2's. And I double check. 34 does not go into 16, so that's as far as I can go. And if I had something else to carry down, I would, but I'm done now. I can't go any farther because that's the end of my number. So I have 2 ways I can write my answer. I can write it as 18 with a remainder of 34, or I could write it as 18 plus 16, my remainder, divided by 34. And of course, I'd reduce that fraction if I could. Okay? Now let's talk about something similar when we look at polynomials. I'm going to try the same process. Here's a problem: 6x squared plus 2x plus 8 divided by 3x plus 4. So the first thing I do is I look at just the beginning. Just like above, I tried to estimate how many times the 3 went into the 6. So here I'm going to see how many times the 3 goes into the 6. And also I have to keep in mind that I have an x. 3 goes into 6 2 times, and x goes into x squared x times. Here's how I can see that. If I take 6x squared and divide it by 3x, the 6 over 3 becomes a 2, and the x squared over the x becomes an x. That's the first part of my quotient. So I'll put a 2x right here over the x column. The next thing I did in long division was I multiplied that first number in the answer times the 34, and I put it underneath. I'm going to do that here. I'm going to take the 2x times the 3x plus 4, which when I distribute through becomes a 6x squared plus 8x, and I'm going to put it underneath what I already have. The next thing I did with numbers was subtract, so I'm going to subtract. And I'm going to give you guys a hint. I suck at subtracting. I'm terrible at it. So what I do instead is I change the sign to a negative, and then I add. So 6x squared plus a minus 6x squared is a 0. 2x plus a minus 8x is a minus 6x. And now I carry my 8 down. Just like before, when I got done dividing, I carried down my new digit. Now I repeat, just like I did before. I want to see how many times the 3x goes into the minus 6x. And one way I can do that is over here I can check minus 6x over 3x. 6 over 3 is 2. The x's cancel, and I have a negative. So my next answer in my quotient is going to be minus 2. Then, like before, I take the minus 2, multiply it by the 3x plus 4. And that minus 2 will distribute through. Minus 6x. Minus 2 times 4 is minus 8. And I put it beneath. Minus 6x, minus 8. And now I'm going to subtract, but I'm sucky at subtracting. So I'm going to change the sign and add. Minus 6 plus 6 is 0, so I have 0 x's. 8 plus 8 is a plus 16. And because 3x doesn't go into 16, there are no x's there, I know that I'm finished. So I can write my answer in two different ways. I can write it as 2x minus 2 with a remainder of 16, or I can write it at 2x minus 2 plus my remainder over my divisor, just like I did before. So both of those are fine answers depending on what format they need to have your answer in. I hope this is a helpful introduction. Let me know if you have more questions or if there are parts of this that aren't clear, okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.